So much has been done, but there's so much more to do. So stay tuned to the channel. We got a lot going on. Come on. Hello everyone, thanks once again for joining us on the channel, and today we're going to take a close look at this Coyote swapped 1979 Ford Bronco that has every component replaced underneath. All new suspension, engine, transmission, cooling, you name it. This baby is ready to go, and it's going for alignment and exhaust, and we'll be on the road before you know it. The transformation of this vehicle has been nothing short of miraculous. Man, I'm glad that's over with. That took a long time to clean and paint all these parts, but it's going to be worth it because number one, they're very expensive, and some of this stuff is hard to get. Like these, for example, you can't even get those for this truck. You'd have to get them for something else, drill different holes and make it work. But you know, anytime I can use something we already have, that saves time in the long run, and it definitely saves money. So I'm pumped about that. The Bronco now has, obviously, the new radius arms, drive shafts are connected, shocks are on. I need to pull the rear shocks off out of the way because I'm going to clean and paint this frame today. The brackets are mocked up, it's sitting there. So what I'm going to do is take the tank down, take those shocks out of there, and start to cover all of the new parts with tape and rags so that when I paint it under there, all the new stuff stays new and all the old stuff, like that nonsense, gets painted. I got some good rattle can undercoating that works real good. Plus, it's durable. If it starts to come off later, you can always touch it up again. That's cool. And I don't want to get it on any of the new parts because the new parts look so awesome. We want them to stay that way. And then once it's all painted, I will put the sway bars on and start on the brakes. Okay, so let's take a look real quick under here. So these are extended sway bar links that attach to the frame, and with stock radius arms, this would normally bolt in to a hole up here, but because these are such a drastically different shape, I can only run them about that high, and if you see, those are in the way. So what I've done is changed it a little. I know what they need to do. They literally just need to attach to the frame vigorously, and then you'll be able to use them, and this whole system will articulate. But the way that I'm gonna go about doing it is I made a few of these tabs. So basically, we're gonna do something like this and weld these tabs to the frame, just like that, if you can see. Just like that. And that's how we'll get clearance and make it all fit. Okay, the fans are running, so the noise level is pretty high, but as you can see, the sway bars are in. These sway bar links are not yet because they're gonna end up going up there in the frame, but at least they're bolted on and everything is getting happy under here. This thing's like a beast. That's a good sign. Check for any leaks. idling high like there's a vacuum line off, which there probably is. But anyway, let me deal with this. I'm going to get it messing around, and as long as I can start it and stop it safely, I'll do a gear test. If that passes, we'll put the wheels on and pull this thing out. I got all the brake lines run and everything has a beginning bleed on it. But this takes a while, you know, you got to go through and chase any little drips, because if fluid's getting in or if fluid's getting out, air's getting in. And you can see it's so minor. That's something. Is it coming from the bleeder? Oh yeah, this bleeder's a little loose. That's interesting. I like to use this brake cleaner. It takes all the residue of the oil, which brake fluid is essentially hydraulic oil. I like to get that all out so that when you come back in an hour, you'll see the weep. This is very fine oil, almost like sewing machine oil. And it comes out, it finds a way out. So this cleans it all off. That way, with just a quick glance, you can tell if the area is wet again. But that's what I'm doing, is chasing tiny little drips so that the brake system is perfect. Now that I have all the little drips handled on the brake system, and they're not even drips, it's more like weeping. You can just notice a little bit of moisture, and I want to take care of that. I did. I got it all in. All the lines are in, secured. The truck runs. I can go in there and start it by twisting wires together. The ignition and the dash are not assembled yet because I have to put in a giant AC system and all new ductwork. Everything has to go in there. I want to bleed these brakes properly, but before I can bleed these brakes properly, now you can do it without the engine running, and it works, and I have brakes, but I want them fully bled, and I do it a couple of times over a day or two so that we're not in a hurry and you know, you don't rush anything like that. But the engine needs to be running so that we have the vacuum brake boost assist to help push fluid a little bit harder than you would with just standing on your foot or pushing it with your arm or whatever. And I always do it that way. It's just the way I do it. You don't have to do that way. I don't care how you do it. That's how I do it. In order to get the vacuum, I need to have the engine running, and it needs to be running for quite some time. Now, it's full of oil, and you can start an engine with no coolant in it and move it a few feet here and there and shut it off. But you can never let it get hot with no coolant in it. And in case there's a problem, let's say I have some sort of line leak or something won't bleed, or this proportioning valve is stuck, whatever the problem is, I want to make sure that the engine is protected while I'm running it, so I have to put the coolant lines in it. Now, this engine has a ton of cooling lines, not just the two tubes, 5/8 tubes that go into the internal heat and the two big ones that go to the radiator. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them. There's 8 others. You've got a transmission cooler, but it's actually not a cooler, it's a preheater. And then you've got the oil cooler, and you've got a bunch of other stuff that just needs to go on. Your reservoir bottle, the whole thing is on a recirc. Anyways, in order to get that done, I have to first put the condenser on because I don't want to bury everything and then try and struggle and get a condenser in here for the AC. So I know it seems like I was just bleeding the brakes and we're almost done, but no, you're not. No, you're not. There's a ton of stuff that goes before you can finish certain things. And that's just how this goes. That's how all these builds are. Once I get the coolant system in and the AC condenser mounted, then I can bleed the brakes. Once that happens, I have to weld a bracket on this park reverse neutral drive cable because it's not accurate. I want to get it a little closer. It flexes a bit. Once that happens, then I can bring it up to temperature and move it around. I might even listen to it shift, go around the block or whatever. But first things first, condenser. Who would have thought? Got to put a condenser in to bleed the brakes. In order to make room for the condenser, I had to take the radiator out and put longer bolts in here so I could space the radiator back so that when I put the hood bracket back in, the hood latch will catch the hood and close without rubbing on the condenser because everything's so nice and purty. We want to keep it that way. I pre-drilled some self-tappers in the aluminum. These are good coarse threads. They'll stay. It'll be nice. And, get those in there. More. My hands are a torque wrench. I broke enough bolts and stripped enough bolts. I know where it is. Just enough room to get a fitting on. We're good to go. Now I can put the cooling system in. Clearance, Clarence. Roger, over. Okay, probably looks like spaghetti to everybody, and it is right now. Like this hose is extra, that's vacuum, it goes to the booster, it's nothing. This gets plugged, this gets plugged. We get an expansion bottle from here to there. This circulates all through the oil cooler down there, the trans cooler down there, through this little cabin heater and this trans temp solenoid, and then these two are your heater core that go right there. I just looped them together for right now. So we have to make a penetration through here with like a bunch of fittings for AC. And first things first, I want to get the engine running up to temperature, and then I can finish bleeding the brakes. Once that happens, we will move on to this box, which is the power steering. It's electric. It's electric. And I'm gonna mount it down in here somewhere. I'm not sure where yet, but I'll make it look neat. And then of course these Coyote motors have that big cover that blocks all this off. That modern engines are ugly if you look at them. But yeah, we're ready to fill it up with water, get it up to temperature, see how it acts, bleed the brakes. Chop chop. Right now I'm making some room for the power steering pump, which is electric. I don't know if I mentioned that. Here it is here. This is the pump. This is the bracket that carries it with rubber insulators to isolate it from vibration. So I've worked out where this is going to go down in the engine bay and how I'm going to wire it and how I'm going to plumb it. So I've pretty much got it figured out. I just need to weld brackets that will carry this bracket, which will in turn carry that. And it's right in front of the harmonic balancer down on the bottom. It's right in front of it, so there's not a lot of clearance. This is going to take me a while, so give me a second, and in a few moments you will see how I mounted this down inside of there. And then we'll figure out where we're going to put the reservoir, because it's got a remote reservoir. And I like to put these, you know, right above it if I can. Obviously it'll be above it, but I don't know if it'll be in line with it. It might be over with a different hose. First things first, figure out how we're gonna get that mounted in there. No. I've got the bracket mounted. You can see that U-shaped bracket there. It's got rubber insulators on it, and it's welded now to the cross member. But this bracket is removable should you need to remove it for anything. So I'm about to fit the power steering pump down into the rubber insulated bracket right now, and then I can move on to something else. Actually, this is taking quite a while. All right, so there it is. That's your main power. Then these three, one of them is a call that you would give ignition, and then this main feed powers the pump. It's real simple to get these to work. And I've used this pump with that steering gearbox before, and its volume isn't wonderful, but overall for the price and for the functionality and the space involved and getting electric power steering, it's really, really good. Especially when you're out on the road, when you're rolling. Parallel parking is a little touchy because it gets kind of stiff, but the reality of that is you're not going to parallel park this in a city and leave it anyways. So as long as you're rolling, you're good, and it's like butter. So that's on. I don't know, I got to look at my list and see what's next. I have the power steering lines created, and I've got them run to the electric pump. Here's the reservoir, and believe it or not, this power steering electric pump takes ATF, which is good because hydraulic fluid essentially. And I'm going to get fluid in it. That's the power wire right there, and I can energize it and begin to bleed it. Once I bleed all the air out of it, I will have power steering, and the engine doesn't even need to be running. So basically, if you just put the key in the ignition, when it has a key, it doesn't even have a key yet, it's just wires twisted together in there. But when you eventually put the key in the ignition and turn it on without starting the engine, in 3 seconds you'll hear an electric whir sound, and you will have power steering with the vehicle not even running, which I think is very cool. But it's a neat thing. I dig these systems, and I put them in a lot of stuff right now, and they're just pretty bulletproof. They're cheap, they're everywhere, and they're so simple. So let me get some fluid in it. We'll begin to bleed it out, and then we will have magic power steering. I can button some of this up. I gotta mount the accelerator pedal in there, get a seat in it, rebleed the brakes, fill it with water, get a temperature test, and once all that passes and I can move it in and out on its own, I still have another day or two. I think I'll get the ignition working so that it's either a switch for the guys to put exhaust and an alignment, because this needs to move easy for them or they will not be happy with me. So yeah, there's a lot to do, and I gotta stop talking and start working. Okay. Let's give it juice. Now we should be able to move these wheels with weight on this truck. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it's really good actually. It probably got a little air in it. But I mean, the minute it starts building pressure, it moves. Now the steering's all loose under there because it's got to go to alignment, but nah, we're good. No big puddles other than the one I spilled. So we got power steering. I'm just going to put pure water in it for right now in case there's any kind of problem. I don't have a slimy green or pink mess on the floor. I have nothing but water, and I can literally sweep it down the drain and out the door. I bet this system holds probably 4 gallon. I already put a gallon in. This is number 2. But see, now we can start it and let it run. I can even hook a OBD2 live data to it and check the temperature without the gauges even being connected. Oh, it's already getting there, but it definitely needs to be burped. You know there's air in it. Glurkity glurk glurk glurk. Once you start it, it'll change, but at least now we have coolant in it. I can run the thing. Okay. This is just test fit. I may build the box around this and try to get it to draw air from the front, but it's not completely crucial. As long as it's not down there, it's not as bad. It's made to fit the factory air box, and we don't have that, and I don't want it in here. It doesn't fit right. I've done it before. It doesn't work right. The cover's just sitting on there, and obviously all the wiring is temporary. That battery goes to something else that's leaving, but you're starting to get a sense of what this thing is, and it's really, really cool. I can't wait to get it back from exhaust and alignment, because then I'm going to drive it, shake it down, see what's right about it, what's wrong about it, finish the interior, do the air conditioning, and start talking about sending it home. I just got off the phone with the guys that are going to do the four-wheel alignment and suspension setup, and they're also going to do the exhaust. I'm not sure how we're going to do the exhaust yet. It's gonna come down to space. You know, there's a million different ways to skin a cat, and we have some limited space down there. But we'll figure that out, because I'm going to go with the truck. It's like 2 hours south of here, and I'll go lay it out with them. We'll talk about it, and then I'm going to turn them loose, and they can call me when it's done. So they're very good. They did the Ireland truck, and they've done, I think, one of the blue trucks, two of the blue trucks, as a matter of fact. They're really good. So I'm stoked. We are days away from getting this truck sent to alignment, and once it comes back, it's nothing more than a bunch of small details. It's getting exciting. This is a proper build. I'm proud of it. I mean, I really am. When you look underneath this truck, there's nothing to be ashamed about, and that's freaking sweet. Yeah, I just got to get the tow. It's kind of a long distance tow, so you schedule that, try and get it on the same day they want the truck, and drive it down there, and then they'll go back and pick it up, because we don't drive these on the road until they're fully tested. We don't need one broken down on the freeway somewhere because a hose popped off or some nonsense. So yeah, it gets towed there and back, and that's just the way it is. So I'm pumped. I'm almost a little verklempt. I don't want to see them go, you know, this one or that one. I like them around, but at the same time, they're here for a reason. And this one there's a lot of work involved in both of these trucks. So the sooner we get them done, the sooner we can get two more in here. Okay, we're about ready. Actually, we are ready to send this off to the alignment and exhaust. And it's been a long time coming, of course, but there's a lot to this, and there's still a lot to be done yet once it comes back. All the wiring, finish bolting the interior together, the lights, making the dash work, the AC system. There's still quite a bit, but the heavy lifting is absolutely done, and I couldn't be happier. This thing will start right on the key. Matter of fact, it should right now. I am so stoked we finally got this thing moving under its own power with the 2020 Coyote engine, 10-speed automatic and electronically shifted transfer case, all new 4-wheel drive. James Duff supplied all of the 4-wheel drive components underneath. Henderson Driveline rebuilt the axles. And our good buddy Dylan supplied the engine out of a wrecked truck, and the whole interior is mostly LMC. And there's just a lot of cool stuff happening with this. Right now, from this moment, this is going to be put on a truck and hauled down for a 4-wheel alignment and a proper exhaust. After that, it's road test time and buttoning up the electronics. So I'm excited. This has been a long time coming. This is a powerful thing, and I'm really proud of it, because if you could see under there in person, you would smile, let me tell you. Let's get it loaded on a truck.
It's always blown my mind, like, to see, like, pumping I can understand. You're giving yourself momentum. But when you're just standing still and you're just spinning and not moving, like, not generating any kind of momentum.
You're generating it.
Like, yeah, it's
by balancing.
And that's where I'm going to have to leave it for this week, you guys. Stay tuned for more updates on the Bronco, the Harl Hauler, the Jeep. Believe it or not, there's some big updates coming with that. So there's all kinds of stuff. I want you to please remember to like, subscribe, share this wherever you see fit, and take these last few minutes to watch some of this pro flatland competition that just happened here in Ohio last week. And some of these guys are the best in the world. They have more skill in their pinky toe than I had in my entire body when I was in shape. So yeah, I also want to give a shout out to Steve Magnante. Prayers for that guy. Hope he heals up soon. We miss him. And keep in mind, we got stuff to do. Thanks. I'll see you soon.